Now we're going to talk about how to solve word problems that deal with refilling containers. A pot had 1 gallon and 3 quarts of tea. Anne poured 3 quarts and 1 pint of tea out of the pot. She then refilled the pot with 2 quarts and 1 pint of tea. How much tea is in the pot at the end? The first thing we're going to need to know here is our formulas that relate gallons, quarts, and pints to each other. So, 1 quart is equal to 2 pints. 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts. And 1 gallon is equal to 8 pints. Now that we know our formulas, our next step is going to be to put all of our different numbers into the same units. So we're going to start with how much tea there was in the pot to begin with. We had 1 gallon and 3 quarts. This is the same thing, if we put it into pints, as saying that we had 1 gallon times the 8 pints that there are in a gallon, plus 3 quarts times the 2 pints that there are in each quart. If I multiply these out, I get 8 plus 6, and I know that my pot started off with 14 pints of tea. Now my next step is to find out how much Anne poured out of the pot. Here, she poured out 3 quarts plus 1 pint. This is the same thing as saying she poured out 3 quarts times the 2 pints that are in each quart plus 1 pint more. Since 3 times 2 is 6, and then we're adding a 1 to it, we're going to end up knowing that she poured out 7 pints. Now, how much did she put back at the end? She refilled the pot with 2 quarts plus 1 pint. This is equal to saying that she refilled it with 2 quarts times the 2 pints in each quart plus 1 more pint. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5 pints. Now we need to put all of this together. We started off with 14 pints, and she took out 7. So if we subtract here, 14 minus 7 is 7 pints. Then at the end, she added another 5 pints. 7 plus 5 is 12 pints. So at the end, she had left in the pot 12 pints. Now, let's try to put this in terms of gallons and quarts, so we'll have our correct answer. How many gallons are there in 12 pints? Well, there are 8 pints in 1 gallon, so we have 1 whole gallon there, and then we also still have some pints left over. We're going to end up with 4 pints left over. Now, in 4 pints, how many quarts are there? Well, there are 2 pints in 1 quart, so we're going to end up saying that we have 1 gallon and 2 quarts. So if I put that right here into my answer, I end up with 1 gallon and 2 quarts left at the end in the pot.